What is going on? Where did my chat go? Where am I? Eric Salzwedel? What? That's crazy. What's up, Shane? All right. I'm trying to get situated as always, per usual. You guys are doing all right. All right. There we got sweetness. Not to be mistaken for the Delta Green scenario. Sweetness. CJ, Shane. Welcome on this fine Labor Day U.S. holiday weekend. What's everybody playing? What's everybody playing? Playing this week or this upcoming week or this past week? I will start. I played nothing this past week. No. We're supposed to play Forbidden Lands, but our game master's gallivanting around London or something like that, so we were unable to play. What's up, Wayne? Good to see ya. CJ, Zero Theory, Roger, Gamers. Got some Forbidden Lands for Shane. Roger's kicked off Blades in the Dark. Playing core, I imagine, Roger. What's up, Dorigo? Iron Sworn. What's everybody playing? Chime in. Iron Sworn. Iron Sworn. Sells metal. Herman. Orcus Dorcas. Snare from the Yellow King. Wayne's running Vaesen, finishing a campaign. Gamers played Dragon Age. Lots of terrible people trying to save the world. Terrible people trying to save the world. Liminal. I see RPG Vigilante. Vigilant game. Vigilant City. Dragonbane. Sweat. Sweat. I am. I busted this out. Coriolis, man. This thing is got a lot of stuff in it. And I mentioned, if anybody played Coriolis, just curious, played or run. In the beginning of the book, it mentions sources of inspiration, and one of them was Revelation Space. So I picked up this too, just to kind of see if I can read and finish a science fiction book. Mr. Kammer, Alex Kammer, I mentioned this on our Discord. If you're not on our Discord, why not? Why? That a friend of his is running Coriolis Rules, a Star Wars game using Coriolis. So interesting, right? I don't know how it would translate. I'm still kind of absorbing it myself. Dragonbane. It is year zero engine, Shane, but there, with every year zero engine game from Free League, they tweak it just a little bit. So, many of them have the same core attributes, and then you have skills, and then it's D6, and then sixes are good. Usually that's at the core. How they use pushing and failing. So in Forbidden Lands, if you roll and you get sixes, great. If you don't, then you don't succeed, and then you can opt to push. And then when you push, you re-roll all your dice that are not sixes. And any ones in Forbidden Lands are bad. They're banes. And you take damage from those banes. And then also in some situations, the more sixes you have, the better your success. In Coriolis, is same situation. If you pray to the gods and you roll ones, then the game master gets is it dark points? I think they're called dark points. So they don't do damage to you like they would in Forbidden Lands, the ones on a push, but the game master gets to start to accumulate dark points. And then they can use those dark points to do different things. Like there's 5 different things typically that the game master can start to implement. So it is very similar in that regard. Those dark points are very similar to dark side points in Fantasy Flight Star Wars. The only difference is that in Fantasy Flight game Star Wars, the dark side points are flipped. They kind of flip over. So as things are going well and the player characters are using their light side, they get flipped. And then eventually the momentum will swing back the other way, where the game master can use dark side points to kind of negatively impact the story or the results and things of that nature. Where in Coriolis, it's just an accumulation, depending on how bad a fortune the players are having. So it's not like the game master accumulates 6, and then once he or she uses them, those 6 go over to the players. It's not like that. So hope that clears some things up. I'm sure Mutant Year Zero is probably a little bit different than all the rest of them. Alien tweaks it just a little bit, but at the core, it's D6. 6s are good. And then the push ones thing can differ. Like Twilight 2000 Twilight 2000 is not even Year Zero engine, kind of. They use different die types. Still 6s or above, but not dice pool. Yeah. DB has a lot of Year Zero engine DNA. DB. Why isn't Cameron on the Discord? I don't know if he does. I don't know if he does Discord, honestly. I don't know if he does Discord, Eric. Dragonbane isn't YZE. It's a roll under. Yes, so the new Gamers Explain is correct as far as I've heard. Dragonbane, which is the new Kickstarter from Free League that has a relaunch of their Swedish version of their D&D, their nation's D&D, is not Year Zero engine. And Symbaroum does not use Year Zero engine. Yeah, so DB, as Wayne says, Dragonbane has a lot of YZE DNA, but a different dice mechanic. Orcs Dorcas, Dragonbane looks cool. It's very simple, nothing exceptional, groundbreaking, but it seems to be a great alternative to 5e. I am not in on. I'm skipping the Dragonbane Kickstarter. I'm skipping it. I got Symbaroum, and I've got Forbidden Lands if I want to play fantasy game from Free League. I don't know. What are you gonna do? It's probably gonna be top notch anyway. Then you've got Blade Runner, which also is more. I would say Blade Runner. Some elements that are. If I were to take them all and line them up on a spectrum, I would probably put Blade Runner close to Twilight 2000 in its die type mechanics. Morning, Joe. Shane says I'll join the Discord. Not sure why I haven't. Well, that's okay, Shane. We're there. It's not going anywhere. But as Eric says, it is the best Discord that he's been on. Got a lot of newer folks, which I was a little nervous. Lord Cass is a user over there, and he dropped me a line. He found us and said, hey, is it okay if I drop your link in another server? That's going to be kind of winding down. I guess they're going to decommission it, if you will. And I said, I get nervous about people joining our Discord because of the origins of how it came about. And I think I've mentioned this before on the stream, and some of you might not even know because you might be new here, but don't know about the 7 years of Gaming and BS podcast that I did with Brett. Some of you are very well aware of that, have been very instrumental in seeing the success of that show. So thank you very much. You know who you are. But Gaming and BS was a 7-year RPG podcast. The catalog is still out there if you're interested in listening to over 400 episodes of the show, 384 and 20 bonus episodes. But if you listen to a podcast, you kind of understand who the hosts are and their philosophies and beliefs and values and things of that nature. And if you don't, and you just stumble across the Discord, you really don't know what you're getting into. You know, it could be anything. And so many of the core community knows us through that space. And then when people are newer that haven't listened to the show, they don't know us from a hole in the ground. So, but so far so good. There hasn't been any huge issues, which is great. Like you might find in other Discords. So if you do come, I like to think everybody is welcome with open arms. But one of the things, I think some of the principles of the Discord, and some of the folks would agree or probably agree or disagree, is we don't do a lot of bashing on games. Caveat, you can have opinions on games and you can have strong opinions on games, but just coming on there and flagrantly saying, well, why would anybody play that game? It's the dumbest game in the world is not constructive, right? So that's stuff we kind of shy away from. And I know you can have very strong opinions. Just take that to Twitter. You want some likes and attention, go on Twitter and post that stuff. But if you're like, yeah, that's not my jam, or, oh my God, another D20 game, that stuff's kind of taken lightheartedly. And I think as you get to know some of the other community members, you might say, well, that guy's bashing games all the time. And you could say, well, yeah, but that we know it's not a but. It's a tongue-in-cheek. Like there's always we all have our favorites, if I should probably mention. So, and we stay away from a lot of the talk that people don't appreciate. Maybe, I see our Discord as a way to get away from stuff like Twitter and Facebook. So the stuff that you find over there in those groups and, just trolling and stuff, it's just not welcome. So if you're like, hey, that's like a place I want to be, that's cool, then you'll be just fine. Yeah, there you go. So I think you can find it through GM. I don't think I have an How to RPG link to it directly, but you can find it at gamingnbs.com/Discord. It'll get you to the server. So there you go. And of course, there are people that lurk. You don't have to always actively, but it is, I would say it's pretty active. How does Blade Runner work as an RPG? It's hard to imagine a party of 6 investigating. So I did a stream actually one morning and went through the PDF on how some of the rules were. I think I might have went through. So they're doing a starter box, and then they're also doing the core rule book, of course. And I think I went through. I can't remember which one I was going through, but it's kind of going through the mechanics, and I was reading kind of how the game worked, because one of the concerns I had was Blade Runner, cool movie, how do you translate it to a role-playing game? And we were even talking about this not too long ago. Well, it was probably last week. So a scenario is a case file. And so as in the scenario, there are certain things. So in Forbidden Lands, you rest at the end of the day and making camp. You make camp, you roll your consumables, hunt, or, hunt. There's a couple other actions that you do kind of usually at the end of the day, right? Fantasy based. And Blade Runner has a similar thing so that you can kind of heal and recoup your losses, which is like going back to headquarters of the office. But typically it is structured around the case file and what's going on, and these different types of paths that you can take and look into. I'd have to reread it to get into the nuts and bolts, but I don't know how it would play long-term campaign. It'd probably be very good, I think, as a one-shot, if you could do it within 3 hours, 4 hours. But yeah, I don't know. There are also replicants, and somebody in the group may not know that they're a replicant. And if you're a replicant, much like androids in the Alien game by Free League, you handle things differently than you would if you were human, right? You don't succumb to like panic, and your triggers make you stronger and not. It's an interesting thing. So I may revisit it and maybe even run a one shot. We'll see. So I don't know. I could see Blade Runner being kind of cool. Like people are gonna like, oh, Blade Runner's kind of cool. I read the book, and watched the 2 movies, and I'm kind of a fan of Philip K. Dick. And then they play the game and might be like, yeah, it's all right, but. And then maybe some will be like, it's the greatest role-playing game ever. Wayne, you seem to be more of a future modern setting RPG fan. I don't know, Wayne. You know me, Wayne. I'm playing in your Forbidden Lands game. I had to take a break from fantasy for a while. I think I played so much fantasy. Like the catalog of fantasy playing was just way, way abundant. And I think with some of the games that were out there, I just wanted a different take on, we're a party of, magic user, wizard, rogue, cleric, fighter. Okay, great. Now we're going to go and do this. It would be interesting to take all the D&D 5e actual plays that are out there and take everything that is very, very similar amongst all of them, and then re-record those bits into like a 10-minute video. Okay, you're all gathered. Hey, you meet. Hey, you're there. A patron comes to you. Hey, this king comes to you. Hey, this person on the street comes to you. Like, it's just, I don't know. I needed something a little different for me. Anyways. Different strokes for different folks. That's right, Shane, man. So it also tends to veer away from real world issues which I like. I come to Discord to escape those things. Mr. Salzweedle, he doesn't even follow me on Twitter. And Eric knows me. And he doesn't follow me because I might post stuff that he just doesn't want to see, which I can totally respect. And I take no personal umbrage at all, any of that. But I also have Twitter accounts that only post role-playing game stuff, like How to RPG and GM Mastermind and Gaming MBS. Like those 3 Twitter accounts will only post RPG-related stuff. That's it. So. Because I think, on Twitter, it's you can follow anybody for any reason, but, our world's complicated enough. But still 5e, woof. But still 5e. Eric's gone. All right. He chimes in as he's getting his Jeep fixed. That's awesome. See, Eric. God. Wow, that is. Sorry, guys. That is. Yeesh. What's up, Shane? Just joined. Looking forward to connecting with this group. Cool. Yeah, and you'll get a welcome wagon from Hoos. You know, we personally welcome a lot of people that join. You know, take a look around, get a feel for the chemistry. You'll find similar arguments rehashed. There are some pretty good threads over there. So quite proud of the Discord and the community that's there for sure. It's really, yeah, it's awesome. So hopefully you can contribute. And if not, you know, just want to lurk, that is super cool as well. Anyways, let's get into what's going on today, shall we? Where should we start? I should probably pull up all the infos. So should we start with something that Herman is probably like? I'm interested to hear what Herman thinks of what is going on or what has gone on. I forget to always add my browser source. Sorry, guys. You should know that this is always going to. Whoop, whoop. There we go. Whoops. So Fandom sells Dragon Prince RPG, other tabletop RPG assets, specifically Cortex, right? So if you're a Cortex fan, you probably know this. If you don't, that's okay. You probably were busy this week. They're selling their tabletop role-playing game, Cortex RPG, and related assets to Dire Wolf Digital. So Dire Wolf, which I was like, every once in a while they'll come up with these things. And frankly, there was a time when I didn't know who Asmodee was, right? I think we all know him now. Or even with, you know, D&D Beyond and who owned them, like where's Fandom, you know? So the Cortex system originated with Cam Banks, and it's definitely made its rounds through the ether. And Cam, I think, didn't he work for Fandom for a while, I think? TTPRG. Did they spell that wrong, Joe? They did. That's hilarious. I didn't even notice that. TTPRG. Oh, man. Hey, journalism in the modern day. Am I right? Like, hey, anybody could be a journalist. Woo! Yeah, they got, I mean, hey, you got to give newspaper, like show print newspapers a hand. I mean, at least they had some heavy editors and a process for putting stuff out, right? Anyways, so Cortex. Herman, where are you? I know you're out there. What's going on? What are you doing? What's going to happen, man? So they're going to continue the Dragon Tales of Xadia, the Prince of role-playing game, which will continue under Direwolf's digital management. Direwolf confirmed that it would continue to work on an expansion of Tales of Xadia titled The Sunfire Chronicles, no release date. They were also doing the Legends of Grayskull that people had brought up as well, like, hey, what's up with that project, which is another RPG that was announced under Fandom when they owned Cortex, for characters out of the He-Man and Masters of the Universe. I think people have said that they are still moving forward with that, but they're still trying to figure out things. So, you know, if it's just something that's taken place, they're probably still trying to figure out release schedule, how far they are with the project, even though it's probably all been relayed during the acquisition. I don't know how like crazy these acquisitions get. I mean, some of these, like, it was a big corporate acquisition recently that was finalized. I don't know. It wasn't the Twitter one, but I mean, that's a good example, right? Like when you sit down and you're like Elon Musk and you're going to pay multi-billion-dollars for Twitter, you get a room full of a lot of lawyers and attorneys that figure out, and accountants to figure out exactly what the value is and where everything is at and all this, and hash out those details. And then it's kind of like a letter of intent, and then the actual acquisition doesn't take place for like 6 to 12 months for some of these. In the gaming space, I have no idea how this is all vetted. And frankly, I probably don't really know how it's vetted in the real world. I don't work in M&A, so. There's one. Gamers Explain. Thank you. Microsoft, Blizzard, Activision in progress. Yeah, crazy. It's going to take a while. So it's really because you got to look under the hood and understand what you're like all buying. Like it's not a car. A little more complicated, right? So I don't know what that looks like when they. My point of this piece is, do they know when they're going to go to Grayskull and He-Man? I don't know. So, anyways, we'll see. Cortex, yeah. And, there's time, like White Wolf stuff bounced around a little bit, right? It was originally, it was White Wolf. Vampire, I should say, bounced around, right? It was originally White Wolf, and then it became, what was it? Onyx Path, and then Onyx Path got bought. Like, that's, who knows? Gamers playing, and Orcus talking about Supernatural. Got it. All right, so that's a pretty big thing, and frankly, look at fandom now. Fandom bought D&D Beyond, and that's not like they're bailing on these things, right? So they sold it to Wizards, and at that point in time when we were talking about it on the stream, we were talking about, okay, great, they sold D&D Beyond, but fandom also did Cortex, and they were making a digital tool set for Cortex, which would make sense since they had D&D Beyond, right? They could do their own D&D Beyond related digital platform for Cortex. So when they sold off D&D Beyond, people were like, well, they had to have kept some people to do the digital tool set for Cortex. Well, did they know? I don't know. If they did, it's not going to make much sense anymore but it also may be a better fit digital tools for Dire Wolf digital, right? But Dire Wolf digital, man, I'm not into the video game space as deep as some of you might be. But this is Dire Wolf's kind of catalog based in Denver. And some of these, the Clank has been mentioned. And selling some details. The only thing that really stood out to me were the Game of Thrones card game in digital. Dune, maybe. So these are all tabletop. But they're lost on me a little bit. So we'll see. I don't know. Damn cream in my coffee's killing me. Yeah. All right, what else? Whiz Kids. Oh, is it in here? Are they going to show pictures? They are doing some D&D's miniatures. Shocker. Got a few miniature updates. Get out of here. No, I don't want to get notified. They're going to do classic monsters. And I think Joe Swick posted the Beholder one somewhere. It looked pretty cool. So they'll be doing monsters from the depths of the first edition. I mean, look at that book, right? Isn't that funny? You could just take this thing home and go, yeah, my son's kind of a talented artist. He's in, grade school. And this is kind of what he came up with. He's junior high. That's pretty good. That's pretty nice. Anyways. Ankeg. So it's going to be the first set. So it's going to be multiple. The first set includes monsters from A to C, based on the original 1977 Monster Manual. They have a pretty good idea what's coming. There's the Beholder. That's what Joe posted. The Boulet. Whatever I call it, the Bullet, whatever. Carrion Crawler. I mean, from the D&D miniatures, you know, I've got a lot of these. So we'll see. Not personally, not overly interested in these because I got tons of miniatures myself that I'm going to try to box up and get rid of. But cool nonetheless. Let's see what else there is. There were other miniatures. Let's see what here. The one I'm going to show you is going to be crazy. We'll pull that up. And I thought there was one on ICV2. Yeah, here it is. Wizards or WizKids reveals this is the D through F, apparently. So that they're going to release for Classic. So these are going to include Displacer Beast, Doppelganger, Ifriti, Air Elemental, Earth Elemental, Fire Elemental, Water Elemental, and the Etten. It's funny because you could just take all the D&D eyes. They put eyes on there. God, please tell me they're not going to put the eyes on there that look like that. But a lot of them you just take from the old D&D miniatures painted back in the day. And just they probably, I don't know, Wizards probably owns the sculpts. They're probably not going to send them over to WizKids, but I don't know. Like a little flower on his foot. That'll be an interesting one to pull off. Because those transparent plastics are, I've heard, not overly cooperative, but I could be wrong. I do like the Displacer Beast. But not. Hey, and it doesn't end there, ladies and gentlemen. You got to see this thing. I don't know if you guys have seen it. You guys know what I'm talking about? Can you take a guess? This thing is a beast. This thing's going to be crazy. And it's not cheap. Tiamat. Sideshow, right? So Sideshow, I guess, does all these really awesome sculpts. Look at this thing. I'm sure these pictures are not even going to remotely do it justice because this thing's going to stand 28 inches. Over 70 centimeters. That crazy? 28 inches, man. That's over 2 feet. $28. Hold on a second. I'm going to show. Hold on. This is the one. This is the one I have. So this was from the D&D miniature set. It's a rare. Can't remember which one. It came out in 2006. I can't remember what set. It's the Crown. That's the one I have. It's a little dusty. Gotta probably dust this off. I should probably look up and see what that's worth. This thing's going to be 2 feet, man. This thing's what? Maybe 4 inches? Size does matter, Orcus Dorcas, and if you've never been told that, well, somebody's trying to keep your ego in check, sir. Look at that, though. It's going to be crazy. But you know what's even more crazy? The $1,900 price tag. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. 1,900 bones. Ooh-wee. What's up with that? What's up with that? I mean, it is pretty badass. Um, 1980. $1,980. Limited edition. Only 400. It does have some of the details. Looks like a stat block. You guys probably can't see it. It's pretty small. Chaotic Evil, Intimidation plus 17. Dust Resistance plus 10. Haha. Attention getting plus 26 for sure. Attacks. Talks about dragon possesses deadly clawed feet, a spiny tail, a pair of massive red wings. Each wing is tipped with another claw and features scarring veins and scales that show the age and resilience of the draconic goddess. You know who's going to buy this thing, right? You know who's going to have this thing? Joe Manganiello. He's going to have it in that room of his in fancy Hollywood. Well, they did announce, so WizKids just announced the Balagos Ancient Red Dragon Mini. It's 18 inches tall with a 24-inch wingspan. Dude. I did drop an SL reference. It's so funny from the days of the D&D minis, like the ones that they did. It's just Jake Jumbo is like right at my feet. I'm gonna step on him. But these are some. Look at these things. Got the camera too far back behind the light. But you know, this is large red dragon. Okay, this is from like Dragon Eye series, which is Dragon Eye was like it was like Archfiends. I can't remember. Dragon Eye was early, probably in the first 5 sets. And one of the killer combinations for the skirmish game that they put out was double when you play double red dragon. And this is the red dragon. This is large red dragon that came out in 2003. Wow. Yeah, man, 2003. Focus. Can I focus? It's probably not even picking it up. There it is. And then of course they got wise and started doing large releases. So this is the huge red dragon, right? This is 2004. So a year later they did huge. So bigger base. So this is the standard. This is a 2x2 base, right? 10 feet by 10 feet. This is the 20 by 20 feet base. Quite a bit of difference. Same stance almost. You plop this on the table, man, and this is like a large or huge, right? The big one that they did on the square base was Gargantuan. That was still part of that skirmish game. But I mean, so the Gargantuan one, and you put a little miniature next to it. Okay, I got scale. The thing next to this, I don't know. Put like 3 adventures around this thing. I guess maybe it might be close, right? I don't know. But this Tiamat thing is going to be freaking crazy absurd. Here, I forgot to put in some of the links in the chat so you guys can check it out. And I know some of you high rollers are probably going to go out and run and sign up for getting your version of this Tiamat statue. You could get it on layaway, $254 a month. It's expected to ship April or to June of 2023. There you go. That's pretty cool. All right. So that tops the miniature news for the week. What's Tiamat statue? This is, we can put this out there. It's not a big, huge deal, but the ICV2, they unveiled a couple things that Wizards is going to do for a character folio, playmat, and wall scroll for Dragonlance. Got a little Lord Soth action going on. This reminds me of when I do stuff on like Cafe Press, or I don't know what the hell the other one is that I use. You could create your own design and put it on like 20 different things. That's what this reminds me of. Okay, let's just take this thing and yeah, we need a playmat, a mug, a journal. Yeah, what are you going to do? It's kind of interesting because it's all stuff that's like really around, besides the character folio, it's like almost magic, right? Like, I don't know how many role-playing gamers that I play with that have a playmat. And then, of course, it says character folio, but it looks like it's almost like you put cards in it. So maybe you could put your spell casting cards in it. I don't know. What are you going to do? Teespring. Yeah, thanks, Joe. Anyways, so there's that. I know, starting off with the heavy stuff, right? Like everybody's like goo goo gaga. This made EN World, just this tweet. Wizard says that there are more people play testing 1D&D than the entirety of 5e play testing. Wow, that's pretty crazy. But here's the deal. Is it just downloading the stuff? Because, when did 5e come out? 9 years ago? Is it just more of the social media piece? I don't know. I think it's just the times. Like, I downloaded it. Probably not going to provide any feedback. Now brace yourself for the avalanche of feedback. They say they're here for it. Can you imagine the person trying to sort all that data? I imagine if it's just checkboxes, then it'll be probably pretty easy. I haven't submitted my info back to them, so. But, if you're not happy with the direction that they're going, which seems to be not an uncommon theme on Twitter, well, now you got your chance to go in there. What's up, Michael? Michael says, I did the survey and it gave me the impression this is more a marketing campaign than an actual play test. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like, there is more people playing than when D&D Next came out, so it shouldn't it be obvious? Yeah, right. Like, there's just more people playing it, so playtest. Yeah, great. More people to do it just by happenstance. I used to work in customer service a long time ago, And we would bring people in to hire, and they want the team to interview the person. So it would be like 6 of us at a table. The person would be, it'd be like, the Inquisition, right? 6 of us spread across this long table, and one person with the spotlight on him sitting, 10 feet away from us in the middle of the room. And I asked my boss, like, well, here's the deal. If I give you feedback on the person, is it going to be used just as, good to know? Or is it going to be used to actually make the hire or not? And how does that weigh in? How to impact everything? It's kind of like these play tests. Like, is it just going to be where everybody weighs in, and if it's a real common theme, you're going to address it? Or is it just more of a, dog and pony show? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that, but you may have the illusion of impacting the path of D&D. Surely that's worth something. Right? Maybe. Who knows? I guess it's better than not at all, right? So then, yeah, this is the Clank Studio. This is just another take on Cortex. And they released licenses too. Forgot about that. So what those licenses still good? The community licenses? I don't know. I don't know, man. I'm reading some of this as I'm kind of going. I don't know. It'll be one of those weird. I don't know. I think they got to put it out, support it, something. Jay, can you go lay somewhere else for Pete's sakes? What if you show up to playtest just to find the DM took a heavy hand to house rules? Yeah, I think that's inevitable. If they keep the monsters don't do critical damage, you're gonna get. It's gonna be funny how much house ruling dungeon masters are going to do to make it just 5e. They changed it in 1D&D. Monsters can't critical. 20s are success and skill checks. We're doing 5e. Anything in the 5e original player's handbook. That's the way we're going to go. It's not even house ruling. You're just playing 5e. I don't know. Which is fine. Which is great. It's just fine. Great. Let's see. Paizo. Who picked up the bundle from Paizo? I did. I picked up the bundle, the humble bundle of Paizo, Pathfinder 2. I bought it. I chipped in $35, I think it's probably, it was like worth $400. So I have it. It's a butt ton of material, let me tell you. I think it was like, God, it was way over 20 PDFs or zipped files. It was crazy. I don't know if I'll read that much, but it was kind of a deal you can't pass up, especially if you're big on PDFs. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, if I could buy more PDF stuff and I get all this stuff for $35, seemed like a no-brainer. And I'm not buying as much in print. I got a lot of Kickstarters to be delivered yet. I don't know. We'll see. But I don't know. What are you going to do? Trying to find the article that I just pulled up. As you guys wait patiently. I'm a pro. I'm a trained professional. Here it is. Kit and Caboodle. Partnership with Savage Sparrow Studios. Upcoming Kickstarter. behind Savage Sparrow. They're going to do Pathfinder-based attire. Themed attire, I guess. They're partnering with Paizo to turn Savage Sparrow Studios' creative flair into amazing apparel and accessories inspired by the Pathfinder and Starfinder universes. So they have been creating cool clothing in the nerd space for the last decade, being a fixture at conventions across the country, including Gen Con, Anime Expo, PAX events. Her work has been worn on G4, the Skatoon Network, and by Rebecca Space Mom Ford of the Warframe community, among others. So there you go. So I learned who they were today. Coming in the autumn of 2022, not too far away. The celebration, The Goblins of Galarian, featuring peak chaos and epic explosions. They will include a dress with pockets, t-shirt, enamel pins, hoodies. There you go. I want that pink knit hat with the little horns coming out of it. I don't think I could pull it off. Michael, you got in on it? Cool. The strength of 1,000 PDFs. Victor White says that hacking is going to happen just because everyone's required to move to 1D&D anyway. Yeah. Yeah, Lisa Stevens is retired. She's smoking and drinking Mai Tais. You don't smoke Mai Tais. Strength of 1,000 sounds pretty good. I don't know. That was in that Humble Bundle. Yeah. I heard WotC is hiring for the 1D&D Brute Squad now, who will travel from home to home to enforce everyone is playing the new edition. So is that the Gamer Police then, or Brute Squad? Nobody expects the 1D&D Brute Squad. Oh man, you guys. Nothing like streaming and having somebody just hack up their lung and to the mic. All right. Print news to print. Thanks, EN World, for doing all my grunt work. Oh, it's raining here. I didn't think it was supposed to rain today. Anyways. First one. Hell Comes to Bogtown. I think every campaign setting should have a Bogtown. $25. Designed for PC of levels 1 to 3. They join the entourage of the new Lord Hindle to help him manage his new fief, but along the way, they must deal with the terrors of the wicked fens, the confusion and eventual madness of his lordship, and confront the horror of the past. There's also one called Rat King Sewer. I think we went over that, level 4 to 6. World War II North Africa Mystery in the Sahara, 5th edition, soft cover supplement. There you go. Gig Economy, OSE, Zine, $10. 200 weird, fun, and quirky retainers, hirelings, and henchmen, just enough detail to get games rolling. Organized to support infinite hiring procedures and designed to be fast and easy to use. 20 lackeys, 40 townfolk, 140 adventurers, 20 of each class, along with 3 hiring procedures and guidelines for creating more. So as a starting town map on the back cover includes 10 different hiring locations. Probably not a bad supplement, right? For people playing OSE. We gotta get some hired help. You can do this pretty quickly using this one. Dr. What? I mean, who? Second edition. Vortex system. So collector's edition and regular edition, $50 and $100, essentially. Never been a big Doctor Who guy. Venture Module V3, Toil and Trouble, BRW Games, Adventures Dark and Deep, $6. Third part of a trilogy. Started with V1, The Hamlet of Volage, and V2, Red in Tooth and Claw. After facing werewolves and other threats, the PCs uncovered the true enemy plaguing the southern verges of the Sesve forest. The PCs must strike against the Covenant in the heart of their own stronghold. Only by destroying this ultimate threat, can peace and goodness be restored. Back again from the Broken Land. This had come up before, probably as a crowdfunder, maybe, I think. That's funny because you can hey, I've seen this before. So it's probably during crowdfunding. Hey, it's crowdfunded. Now it's in print. So back again from the Broken Land for $20. The Great Soul Train Robbery for $15. Softcore RPG porn. Softcover core rulebooks powered by the apocalypse. And Honey Heist. Foundlings. Unique D10 based rules system. Anthropomorphic survivors eking out a living on the fringes of the polluted forest on the edge of the ruins of their once great civilization. By Caradoc Games. Noir World. Powered by the Apocalypse, $40. Collaborative experience as everyone acts and directs a part of a movie. The group creates over 20 roles to play. The good cop, the fatale, dirty cop, the disgraced doctor, gambler, the citizen. Options for telling all kinds of stories that emphasize intense relationships, crime, and danger. You guys, anybody get this series? The Ultimate RPG Character Backstory Guide by Adams Media. There's a ton of them on Amazon. Systemless, so system agnostic, software supplement, $16. Helps build out an existing character or create a new one with activities that provide plenty of RPG support for fantasy, sci-fi, horror, X-punk, superhero, and Western campaigns. I think there's a whole market in reviewing all the system agnostic stuff that's out there. Is it good? Is it easy to use? Is it helpful? Yeah, Victor, I'm not a Doctor Who guy. Sorry, dude. What are you going to do? So that's it for the new print stuff. Thanks, Ian. World. Should we go to crowdfunding, right? Kind of the deal. It's kind of the deal. First one, Vincent Baker, The Thief and the Necromancer, a role-playing game. So this was previewed, hey, this is coming, and now it's out on it's Kickstarted, so now you can check it out if you're interested. If you're not familiar with Vincent Baker, he is the one behind Apocalypse World. The origins of PBTA. Core rulebook. It is a PBA game, PBTA game. The fourth game, Vincent Baker's The Wizard's Grimoire Zine series. Ends September 7th. Definitely funded. Oh, I didn't hit enter. Should probably hit enter. Enter. A Catacon. So the folks that run a Catacon are kickstarting the convention in Dayton, Ohio. So if you're a Catacon fan, you want to make sure that convention continues, well, then you can get the $45 weekend badge. This ends September 7th. It's funded. Who's been to a Catacon? Who's my Ohio guys that have gone to a Catacon? I think Victor's down there, aren't you, Victor? So Victor mentioned there are 4 books to that set so far. They are a gold mine of gaming ideas and tips. Oh, that's good. I might have to check one out. Orcus Dorcas has one of them. It's a bit much and a little bloated. Okay. Bestiarium. Scales and Decay from ND Hobbies. When people are online talking about 5th edition and all the nuttiness that's surrounding 1D&D, you just come here and go, wow, look at all this 5th edition stuff. Like, you got so much stuff coming out of your freaking ears for that system. ND Hobbies, like, you know, this thing is blowing it out of the water. Oh, MX. Well, 300 MX. What is MX? MX dollars. What is that? Is that... I'm ignorant. Help me out, guys. At least 300 pages with over 300 monsters for 5e. It's like blowing it out because they got 547,000 MX. Pesos. Okay, I thought so. I didn't want to... AKA Mexican dollars? Is that what? Mexican pesos. Interesting. So, it's funded for sure. Peacemaker. Quick Draw Western RPG. For 2. From Aaron Russin. Not Russian. Russin. Ends the 13th September. It's an original system combining both Sean Tompkins' Ironsworn and John Harper's Blades in the Dark. It's a zine for Canadian dollars for the PDF and POD versions. Demonstrates the potential of RPG zines, the spaghetti western final shootout as an iconic cinematic experience, but hard to recreate without cameras and editing. This RPG creates the tension by starting at the standoff and working through flashbacks of how the fighters came to this impasse. Done as a 2-player RPG experience, each player is one of the gunslingers, ready to settle their differences with lead, just as soon as the flashbacks reveal what those differences are. That is pretty cool. Hence the Blades in the Dark piece, right? Yeah. It's kind of like... who's that guy? It's that TV show. Earl. My Name is Earl. Starts out how things go awry, and he's like, you're probably wondering how I got here. That's pretty cool, though. I think I can appreciate the take on that. Not a big Western guy, though. Neon Lords of the Toxic Wasteland. Total Carnage Edition by Super Savage Systems. Wednesday, September 14th, it ends. It's OSR based. It's a core rulebook, $50. plus some shipping and handling. That's the popular pledge. You can get the try before you buy quick start rules. Pay what you want on drive-thru. It's a world of grimdark fantasy and neon sci-fi blended up, ingested, and vomited onto your gaming table. Nothing says marketing like vomited. Think nasty instead of unnecessary. Puke before pain. More puke. And Gonzo overshadowing goals. The RPG uses the BX rule set as its North Star and the Toxic Avenger as its rating system. Ultra-violent and hairstyle specific, the RPG has 12 classes, a unique magic system, 100 enemies, items, a sick campaign setting, and worse. If you're down for bloodied clowns and slugs in your eyes, this version of the game is a fresh pass of the core rulebook with fresh edits and errata fed into the machine. If the words Total Carnage Edition speaks to you, check out this Kickstarter. Oh. Orcus Dorcas, get on that. It's funded. 1 week to go. Next one, Graveyard of the Gods, D&D, say it with me, 5th edition, and Pathfinder 2e. It's adventures, $15 for the PDF of the adventures using your choices system. Do you need an anthology Do you need an anthology of adventures for 5e or PF2e? Not just any adventures, but journeys set upon the corpses of the dead gods. That's the book. Your adventures will take you to a god's graveyard. A vast land of enormous beings, each representing a different, unique god. All right. Cool. Cyclops. Psyops by Cy Berg. Zine from lettuce. Not the vegetable. Coming to an end. 10 pounds plus some shipping. 32-page in-game zine. Written without mechanics or stats, you get in-game info and plot hooks for the players to check out. NPCs with important information, threats and assessments of them, new tech, businesses, and random bits of in-world lore. For Cyberg, it's complete metal cyberpunk. D20 delving board game featuring Tim Kask's voice to make the game a more interactive and immersive experience. Well, that'll be pleasant. Tim Kask's voice. Can't remember if Tim was a smoker. Would not surprise me. So there you go. That one is not funded yet and has 1 week to go. Gotta feel it's just not going to get there because you got to get to 17 grand. It's at just about 5. This project promises an RPG-style board game dungeon crawl. Pick your figure, choose your stat cards, and adventure through the dungeon. The game includes videos read by Tim Kask, original TSR's first employee, to be played during the game, which adds an element of old-school gaming to the mix. Wizard Tower Games. Yeah, it's just... nobody knows who Tim Kask is. I mean, really, in the grand scheme of things, Brett and I were talking about that. Like, people don't know, many people don't know the names behind the games really well. They really don't. Unless you got it in the name of the company, right? Like Monty Cook Games. I wonder if they've got a Monty Cook working there. But the only people that I ever knew growing up was Gary Gygax because he was on the front cover of a lot of the books, right? Player's Handbook, for AD&D, the Dungeon Master's Guide, like the weird Gary Gygax, like the weird name, right? Like nobody knows. Like I know Tim, much respect to Tim, but I don't know how many people know Chris Perkins. Right? Is Tim narrating the game or just grognarding about old games while you play? That would be a decision maker for me. Like, there are only a few people who know those names from way back anymore. Yeah, and it's such a smaller group of us because many of us, to even know who Tim Kask was, when's the first time you ever knew who Tim Kask was? Maybe a Dragon magazine? Maybe? And would you even know? The only people you know from Dragon magazine, maybe Skip Williams, because he would do the article in the back. Like, that article escapes me. The column, right? Sage Advice, right? From Skip. Didn't he do that one? And then Roger Moore, because it was the cool James Bond actor who was like the editor, you know? But other than that, like, many of these names are completely lost. Some of the modules we'd know, right? We'd know Doug Niles did this module, or, some of the module authors had their things on there. Merle Rasmussen on Top Secret, as the admin, as like put in the forward. But the it's kind of weird. I think people are like, oh, today people know who these people are, and people are like, no, they don't. Just because they're social media, there might be more people, but putting faces with names, man, I must have been like 30 years old before I knew who any of these guys really were and their involvement. And then you take the younger generation, they're not even playing these games. So they give two shits. Like, dude, if you're banking on that, you got to really hone in on your target. And I don't know if a lot of people that would be like, oh, it's Tim. Cool. I love Tim. He's a really awesome dude. He's done really great stuff for the hobby. Oh, it's a board game. Oh, meh. No thanks. I don't, dude, we're in a world that is like known, like this much. Orcus says, I saw a post where someone was complaining about the recent 5e nonsense and interjected that WotC has been making D&D for 50 years and should know better. WotC has been making D&D for 50 years. I only know them because of going out of my way to read up on the hobby's history. For sure. Like, you got to do Designer and Dragons, or you do the books on TSR and how they screwed up and how they went from TSR to Wizards. You'll get some of these personalities that come up. Maybe a popular documentary that'll come out, but these guys are unknowns. They really are. They're unknowns in a hobby that is unknown. Like, that's like how crazy it is. Gary and Moldvay, yeah. I didn't even know Moldvay, really. Like, I think it might have been just we would refer to like Blue Box, like the Blue Box, or the blue book, right? The Red Box. It's still today, Red Box. Like, nobody knows Frank did it. Like, Metzner Red Box. Sure, some of us know, but everybody else is like, it's the Red Box. Red Box with a big dragon on it. Same with the artists. Like, who knows Elmore and Parkinson and, Easley and those guys. Like, those were the pinnacles of some of those D&D days. Those, Caldwell. We can name them off. I mean, I'm having a hard time keeping track of names, but those guys have made an impact over time. Like, even Weiss and Hickman. I'm interested to find out how Dragonlance does, just because of the generation gap. They didn't do Dragonlance for 4th Ed. So, the gap between 3rd and 5th is a pretty big gap in time. The world's changed, man. It's just, what are you going to do? I don't know. It's kind of funny, ironic, funny, weird. I don't know. Like, if you're banking on your product on some former personality in the hobby, unless it's Mercer you're probably going to have a hard time. Yeah, Arneson for sure. The tale of Arneson and Gygax, I mean, that was probably swept under. I mean, let's consider that for just a second, since we're done with all the kind of formalities, right? So let's talk about that for a second. During the 80s, man, we are old. Okay, let's just get that out of the way. I am old. Okay, I will take the brunt of everybody else that is as old as I am. I think I'm the oldest guy here, probably. Maybe that might be debatable, but I'll take it on the chin for you guys. But back in the day, which is I hate that saying, but let's face it, things were a lot different, man. There was no social media. The world must have moved at a frickin' turtle's pace if we look at it, right? Doing desktop publishing, these guys did artwork. They cut it out. They would paste it on a page to do layout, and then they would run a print, and then that became like the master, and then that's how we did it. Like if we wanted to do our own booklets or whatever, it was just, and so then the news would be even more different. And the only way you could get any of these products is if you went to a brick and mortar store to buy them. So the fact that Matt Mercer, people know what he looks like, who he is, what he does, and the credits that he has behind him is just because he's a guy of this era. If I probably put it that way, he is how do I put it? Yeah, he's kind of a generation of this era, and that's how people can relate to him. And that's why I think we get some folks that are my age that are like, I don't get it. Well, of course you don't get it because you're old and you didn't grow up in this space. We're in this space, but we didn't grow up in this space. We grew up with the internet, didn't hit us really hard and heavy until like 1994, maybe 95. All the AOL discs, and you had to dial up, and you only had one phone. So you had to say like, hey, I'm getting online. And if somebody picked up the phone, they kicked you off your AOL account. 14.4, 28.8, 56K. Woo! Painful days. There's a lot of people born today that don't. I mean, we all know this, right? I got you, gamers. Victor, really? I thought I had you. Anyways, it is just, and how important is it to know the roots of the game? Some people are like, you got to know the roots of the game. Like, really? Do you? I don't know about that. Like, I don't know. Who gives a shit? Like, I'm playing 5th edition, man. This is the game I know. This is the game I appreciate. I got into it because of my friends. I heard things about it. I've heard about the D&Ds. So I wanted to play the D&Ds. All right, Wayne got me. Wayne and Victor for sure. Anyways. But it's always this hubbubaloo. And it's just a generational thing. And that's okay. Like, I think we can all learn from both. We've all been there to some degree. Like, we were all 20 years old once. Different things matter to us at different times in our life. I'm getting deep, man. Deep. Bet you didn't think I'd get deep today, did you? But anyways. So yeah. Tim Kask on your game and being like, yeah, man, it's Tim Kask, dude. That's the selling point. So you take everybody that knows Tim Kask and you put them in a bucket, and then you give everybody that was open to game boards and you take them out of that bucket and put them in a smaller bucket. And then you take, you know what I'm saying? It's like, no wonder you're not funding that thing. I don't know. And that's not a knock on Tim, right? It's not a knock on Tim. It's just the way the world is. What else did we talk about? Otherwise, it's pretty early, man. There's absolutely no reason to know who started the hobby to be part of the hobby. No, for sure. For sure. Get off my lawn. I mentioned Lisa's retirement to my group yesterday and then had to explain who Lisa was to all but one of them, which is interesting because Paizo's got an interesting background. Like, people just go, oh, Paizo's like been around, right? That's what they do. They've done Pathfinder. That's the origin of that company. And it's like, no, it really isn't. Like they used to do Star Wars fanzines. That's where it started with Lisa. And Lisa worked for Wizards. Like, hey, I don't know if you knew this, but the person that started Paizo worked for Wizards. Oh, that makes total sense. Well, not really, because this is why it doesn't make sense. Because when she went to and created Paizo, it's not like she did role-playing games. There you go. To add to that, 52. Hey, happy birthday, man. I have no idea who Tim Kask is. Didn't know who Arneson was back in the day. Yeah. Nobody knew. Well, of course, and because they wouldn't put out press releases and say, hey, Dave Arneson's like suing Gary Gygax. Like to know what was going on in that space, you had to literally be in that space. Like go to like Gen Con 2, or whatever. Lisa started with Lion Rampant and helped start White Wolf. That's right. I forgot she was involved with White Wolf. Then moved to WotC Paizo. Most folks don't know that. Yeah, they don't. The Designers and Dragons series is really good to understand all those kind of nuances, and it's a very small field, right? And it's interesting, kind of, if you're into that. Many people are like, could give two shits, right? Like, I'm not really interested in real history, much less the role-playing game hobby history. Too funny. I don't know. I do not know. So, I got my badge for Gamehole Con, in case anybody missed that. I should be there. I think things are loosening up around the Kelly house. So I'll be there. I don't know how long. I don't know in what capacity, but I will. My odds of being there have grown exponentially. So if you're not familiar with Gamehole Con, that's a local convention here in Madison. It'll be my first con since 2019. Yeah, Gamehole Con 2019 was the last time I was there. So go there. I hope to see some of you there. I have no events planned, nothing. It might be pretty boring for this guy. We'll see. I'm sure there's going to be some pickup games. I'll probably bring something. I'll plan something to write, run off books. It'll be fun. It'll be good. I didn't say boring as in I probably won't have a lot to do as people are playing their own games and running their own games because they planned for it. But I'm sure it'll be just great to see each and every one of you that can make it. So, yeah. And I'm going to bring some modules for DCC fans. I have to remember, Mark Tasaka, bless his heart, keeps sending me like 10 modules that he does. I'm like, dude, what am I going to do with these? So I'm going to have to give some of those away. Les Nessman, live how to RPG show. Maybe I could bring some gear. Maybe do that. I don't know. If I had planned it correctly, I could have probably got a booth, and then all of us could hang out in the booth. But I didn't want Gamehole guys to set a booth aside for me and then me not show up. So maybe in the following year, who knows? I am I'm going to get behind on GM Mastermind. So for those of you that tune in here but don't know about this other audio thing, I do gmmastermind.com, which is a podcast, kind of a rotating panel of people known as the Brain Trust, come on and talk about a particular topic around game mastering. And I want to do a conversion, one on conversions. So I'm tapping, spoilers, I'm tapping Christian Serrano for that because he's done an Eberron conversion that's been quite popular in that space. So I'm interested in conveying how game masters can convert a system. I'd like somebody else also on that show, but we'll see. I don't know who. I could probably pick, Jody Black or what's his name from Pinnacle. But if you have any ideas, let me know. Like somebody who's done a pretty intensive conversion from one game to the next would be interesting. Like what nuances go into that? What do you have to keep track of how much work it is. Some of you might have done some conversions for your home games, like, hey, I'm going to run Star Wars Coriolis style, you know. So I'll probably record that the week of the 12th, and then it'll probably come out quickly after that because I don't have as much lead time. I've been trying to do an every other week release. So the most recent one was on story with Runeslinger and Brett. So see how that goes. No turkeys. And most of us know actually who Les Nessman is. That's scary. Ty Prunty, where are you? Where you been, buddy? Star Wars Into Fate. I have seen a Star Wars Apocalypse, Powered by the Apocalypse World hack. I think I have a copy of it somewhere. I wish it would have really, I don't know if it went anywhere, but I wish it would have because I was kind of interested in that. So I think that's kind of it for what's going on with me. I'm running Impossible Landscapes for Delta Green. I do have 2 videos out on this channel about the first 3 episodes of Sweetness coming on this. And what did you do, Victor? Let's see. What happened there? Oh. That was weird. Victor, your comic got flagged and then I chose show. Anyways. Where was I? Oh, Impossible Landscapes. I do have the first 2 episodes of Impossible Landscapes that'll be coming and dropping on this channel. And I've got a butt ton of other content, like the Forbidden Lands games that we've been running. I think I've recorded quite a few of those, and I want to get those out. There's not a lot of setup, so you kind of get into it, right? Like sometimes you sit down and like, okay, we're going to play this, and this is what we're going to talk about, and introduce your characters. Okay, you all start out, it's very much hitting the table, like virtually, so it might be interesting. All right, see you, Orcus Dorcas. Yeah, get out there before it gets too hot. Stay safe. Thanks for joining. See you later. Have a good weekend. We're going to wrap up here in a few minutes anyway. It's going to be a short one. Who's Carl will show up at like any minute now and be like, what? You're done? So, yeah, that's what's going on. And then I'm playing Forbidden Lands, and we're still trying to get to the Bitter Reach, which is fun, which Wayne and a few others. Gamers Playing first only time I ran Faye was using a Star Wars conversion, ran it in a hotel room at a con. Lots of fun. That's how the Hutt's got a Star Destroyer. What? Yeah, it is raining. Like, I didn't think it was going to rain today, which is okay because I'm tired of 80. And if it hits 80 or higher, I'm kind of perturbed. Anyways, about the weather, right? So I hope you guys game. I hope you have a good, peaceful weekend here in the U.S. It's an extended weekend that we have. Labor Day. Our Labor Day is Monday. I'm going to try to read. I'm going to try to get through some of this. Like, that would be a heavy accomplishment. I cannot tell you the last time I actually physically read a novel. It's terrible. I should want to become a more voracious reader, but my wife will probably laugh at me because she's like, you're like page 2. You covered 2 pages in like a half hour. Like, what a slow reader. So we'll see. Oh man, Demon Hunter, huh? Oh, nice. Write a game. Nice. Cool. Do something. Peaceful, relaxing, whatever it is, right? If you're going to play a game, cool. Run a game, design a game, whatever. Cards Against Humanity. Ooh, that ought to be fun. But I'll let you guys go. And thanks to these folks that have helped out for being patrons. I really appreciate it. Thanks for supporting the show. But other than that, man, I'll let you go. And remember, be a positive force in the tabletop RPG hobby. We'll see you next week or on the Discord. Have a good one. See ya.